iRobot was a 1984 arcade game by Atari. It was very different than the other arcade games out in 1984. It used polygons, and it was very ethereal and strange. Jeff Minter of LLamaSoft fame makes some of the most unique games you'll ever play. I've reviewed a few of his games on this channel, like Tempest 4000, Aka R, and last year I even talked about the Jeff Minter collection that came out by Digital Eclipse. So when I saw that Jeff Minter of LLamaSoft was remaking iRobot, I knew that that had to be a day one purchase. This is my review of iRobot on PlayStation 5, and at the time of this recording, this game came out like 3 days ago. When you first look at iRobot, this version of iRobot, it's easy to draw comparisons to Jeff Minter's other works, which I think is a staple of just his catalog. These central themes, these sounds, and just the game feel. LLamaSoft games tend to put you into this state of trance while you play. That where you sort of just play the game subconsciously. It's very cool the way that his games work, and iRobot was a brilliant pick for adapting into that style, because the original iRobot was very similar to something like, I don't know, Cubert or Pac-Man, but it was more out there. So taking that style and adapting it into the Jeff Minter style, I think is a really good move. And this is probably, it could be my favorite LLamaSoft game. If not, it's up there. This game is a ton of fun. In iRobot, you play as a robot that is rebelling against authority. So in each stage, you have a grid that you want to kind of like flip all of the tiles on the grid by either running over them. Sometimes you could cause little chain reactions or explosions that will cause the tiles to flip. Either way, your goal is to change all of the tiles on the floor. It's not that simple, though. You do have a robot eye watching you from the sky. So the big eyeball in the sky has a timer, and if it turns red and you are crossing a gap, like jumping over a gap, it will zap you. So you want to be mindful and always watch that eye. It can also shoot projectiles out at you, which you're going to have to avoid. And it makes every level unique with the level layout and the way that you're going to have to avoid the eyeball. And there's also enemies on the grid as well that you can shoot. You do have, your only functions are to move and shoot. So you can shoot the enemies. You can also shoot certain blocks to lower them to create passageways, and you can also jump over a chasm, gap. Whenever you jump over a gap, it also like bridges that connection with tile. Very unique, very different than many other games in this genre. In the, I don't even know what you would call this. The closest comparison is Cubert, or it has some elements of Pac-Man, but like in this sort of arcade style, very different. And it makes for a unique and addictive game, honestly. I found myself, even whenever I was recording the gameplay footage for this review, I found myself just sort of sucked in, and I kept wanting to play more. Between the actual stages, you do go into kind of like a transition stage, which is something that Jeff Minter likes to do in his games. And it becomes a lot more like something like Tempest, where you're going to be on a grid, or like in a tube, or like on a certain plane, and you can move back and forth, and you can shoot enemies. And there's certain enemies on the plane that if you shoot them, you get faster bullets. And these transitions will get faster and faster and harder. You can fail them. You can die during the transitions, which will cause you to lose the progress on the level you had previously beat. But also in exchange, if you clear all the enemies in the transitional stage, you get a bonus. So it's a good risk versus reward, and it also helps to break up the gameplay. So it doesn't feel too monotonous going between the actual stages and the transitions. If you just went stage to stage, it might feel a little much. So the transitions are like a moment of brevity, and they're just also really fun. And like I said, the style and the sound effects and a lot of things in this game are just steeped in the LLamaSoft Jeff Minter style. If you've looked through and played his catalog of games, you can see that there's just this identity that he has. That just, it always comes out in his work. I really like this one. I played it here on PS5. It's not out on Atari VCS at the time of recording this. I thought it was coming out on VCS, so I'm kind of concerned about that. But I went ahead and bought it on PS5 and played it. I did notice that there is a PlayStation VR 2 mode for this game. So if you have a PlayStation VR 2, I'm sure this is a blast to play that way. I sadly do not have a VR 2. So I didn't get to experience that. But if I ever do get a VR 2, you could bet that I will play this one. This is a game that I foresee myself sticking to for a while. I do like the fact that while it is a very arcade game, I think there's 50 levels. Don't quote me, I haven't finished the game yet. But something that is nice is that you can actually just save your progress between levels and then continue where you left off. So if you don't want to play it from level 1 to level 50 all the way through, you can actually just pick up, level 19, level 21, whatever it is, and keep going. That way, if you want to try to progress and just see all the levels, that can very much be a goal of yours. If you're not worried about the high scores and you just want to play through all the levels, that is something you can do. And each level also has an objective, like beat the level in 30 seconds, don't kill any enemies, touch all the tiles, don't die. Like, there are objectives that you can clear in each stage, which I bet would make this very difficult to 100%, because some of the later stages are brutal. So there's a lot to offer on iRobot. I know it's a very arcadey game. It might take you a little bit to pick up. I started playing it yesterday, and it took me a few times through the first few stages to really understand fully what was happening. But once it clicks, and iRobot is a fantastic game. Jeff Minter, LLamaSoft, and Atari, you guys knocked this one out of the park.